Hello and good day to all friends. This is Mojtaba Rasti speaking. I'm from the Thales team, and today is October 31st, 2025, and I'm here with you. We're going to analyze Bitcoin using the Thales Market Screener tool. Please note that these analyses are for educational and informational purposes only. If you use this information to take positions in the market, the responsibility for any profit or loss will be entirely your own. Well, yesterday, because I was busy and spending time with my family, I didn't get the chance to update the analysis. So, I'm here with you now. Look, friends, I was expecting support around 111. It's kind of roughly around here. As you can see, we saw a reaction from around 110. Even on this green candle, did you see what kind of hammer it formed? It made a hammer, but actually, it couldn't hold as support. The break of our lower zone, if you remember, I think it was the agreement zone, though I don't quite recall now. Anyway, that was noticed. That also completely passed, and now we're seeing support here, and it's actually quite interesting support. Really interesting support. You can see there are a few points here. First, consider this purple line. On the weekly time frame, this is the bottom of our bullish channel. We've come down again and found support at the bottom. This support happened right at the bottom, which is a positive point. This is almost the third support, one touch here, a second, and here it faced strong support. Overall, it formed a solid support structure. That's the third time. The next point, so 3 times support, the next point is the engulfing candle you can see here. After this red candle, this 4-hour candle is almost a full-bodied candle and a classic engulfing, meaning it completely engulfs the previous candle. Then, a series of consecutive green candles. Of course, this last 4-hour candle turned into a pin bar, so we need to pay a bit more attention to that. Notice that during this upward move, the volume hasn't really increased much. That's another point. Look, from here, the volume hasn't picked up significantly. This upward move also broke through the RSI, crossed above it, and the RSI settled on the moving average. The next point you can see in this downward move is a kind of 3-drive structure. Look, 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3, where the 3 drives is actually a form of price approach. It's moving toward an important zone, and when it approaches in that form, it actually has a bearish setup as well. That means if this same 3 drives pattern happens toward a top, like 1, 2, 3 reaching the top, then it drops. That's the same 3 drives. If the 3 drives reaches an important bottom, 1, 2, 3 hitting a key support level, it acts as a reversal or support signal, and these are the kinds of structures we can pay attention to. There's another structure we might look at. It's not fully formed yet, but it could be heading in that direction. A triangle, actually. It's an ascending triangle, and as you can see, it's actually becoming quite a large triangle. Let me tidy this up a bit. Look, it's something like this. That means flat tops and rising bottoms. In this scenario, if we want to say, we could go up, even reach 115.16 again, and then come back down. For example, it could compress down here and then break upwards. Of course, that's just one possibility, because if it wants to. This has happened within the context of this triangle. It takes a lot of time, since we're also on the 4-hour time frame. You see, it really needs we might need more time to be more certain for further confirmation. For example, if we see another higher low, then we can say, okay, this triangle is really forming. Because yesterday actually, 2 days ago, I saw this triangle like this. Look, I saw this ascending triangle in such a way that it broke here. One reason I mentioned was that maybe we could get support, and we saw support on these 2 green candles. It was this ascending side that broke. This time, it formed a side with 2 contact points. Like this. It formed with 2 contact points for us, so now we have to see if it reaches the 3rd point or not. So, this could also be a perspective that gives us a bullish outlook. But this bullish move will only be significant if this ceiling is reclaimed. Look, it has to reclaim this 111,500 ceiling and stabilize above it, then we can say there's a change of character here. This downtrend reclaimed the ceiling and the character of the move changed. This has to happen. Until then, well, we can't say anything, especially since there are 3 hours left on this current candle, and the previous candle was also a pin bar, so we still need to be a bit cautious. There's a chance the move could head back down again. Possible. Let's go to the market screener. See what we have there. Alright. Today is the 30th for the expiration date. A raw database for the November 1st expiration. So what do we have? Yes. 5,600 bitcoins have been traded as 2031 option contracts for tomorrow, and a bullish side, anything above 110, almost anything above 110, is in profit in this area. We're in an upward move. How far will it go? That's the question. This rally is happening, but how far will it last? Let's move forward, slide the slider and see. It's still bullish, but the bullish leg dropped, the upward move weakened. If we turn on the delta, you'll see that here. 111,500 matters. Right here, clearly, what I mentioned is obvious. See, right now, at the end of the delta movement, we're heading downward, meaning the price increase is up to 111,500 to 112. With the delta decreasing, it means we have a ceiling at 112, a ceiling range between 111,500 and 112. Roughly, if it breaks through, we have a bullish leg. If the price can break through, we'll see a price increase. Along with the increase in delta, up to where? Up to 115, up to 115. And then again, we see a ceiling there. Look, right now, reclaiming this 111,500 could be important and influential. We have to see if it can be reclaimed or not. Alright. What do I mean? I don't mean this bullish pattern we're seeing from yesterday's incoming trades, since we also factored in yesterday's trades. This part is already spent. Look, it's clear up to the start of today. At midnight, you can see how the pattern turned out. It's clear that we're in a bullish leg here, but the ceiling for this bullish leg is that same 112, 111, and 500. So, it seems that most of this upward move has already played out. Let's look at the process database. Again, it shows that in the process data, we've also reached the delta ceiling. After this, after 111, it's bearish. The delta is bearish even as the price increases, meaning that's the ceiling. Let's move forward. At midnight today, it's still the same. That one has already reached its end. So, it's basically a full put sell, meaning we've reached the end. Therefore, as I said, reclaiming this level is now crucial. Alright, Let's move on to the indicator, update the zones, and continue. Here, you can see the convergence of buyer and seller opinions. At the top, there's agreement at 115 and 400, and the zone that's been created is basically a consensus zone. Both groups agree on it. The lower level is at 106 and 200. Our lower agreement in the zone that's been created is a zone of disagreement, meaning there's no consensus on it. Here, the situation favors the upside, the upper level that we're achieving right now, So, just like I mentioned before, reclaiming 111 and 500 is crucial. We have to see if we can do that. Basically, if we can reclaim it, or if we're going to see another move back down. Let's update the indicator and keep going. Alright friends, as you can see, our indicator's bands have also moved downward. For tomorrow, the bands, well, actually, I think I couldn't update these yesterday, so compared to 2 days ago, the movement is downward. After the price was moving along the upper green band for a while, now it's come back down to the lower red band. It's back on the lower red band again. So here, it seems like we should expect another move downward. Let's move on to updating the zones. Okay, the zones have been updated. As you can see, the upper zone is set right on this top, which is very important for us. We've attacked it before and even passed it a bit. Hitting this and reclaiming it is important now. The upper zone, its average agreement, meaning the consensus is in profit. So, if we reclaim 111,500 and stabilize above it, then we can say that we can move toward this upper zone. The lower zone is nicely set right on the lower edge of our bullish face on the weekly time frame, and this lower level of the engulfing candle that previously came down and actually touched 106,300. So, our lower zone is roughly from 106,000 to 106,500. Our upper zone is from about 114,000 to 116,800. And our middle zone is from 109,000 to 111,000. Right now, we're in the middle zone. The maximum profit and loss for buyers and sellers. Look, the maximum profit for sellers is at 111,000, so the price can go up to the maximum profit for sellers, which is actually 111,000. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at both delta and gamma. Delta and gamma, as you may know, are important concepts. Okay. Two gammas above, one behind resistance, near 117 to 118,000. This area around 117,000 is due to put buying. A large volume of puts has been bought for 117,000 and 118,000. On the upside, with the price increase, our delta is bullish, creating a gamma at 115,000 in this zone. But it's not a strong gamma. The gammas from put buys are stronger. There's also a negative, short gamma at 102,000. That means the floor seen from the end of the delta, from 105,000, 104,500, down to 102,000, is the observed floor, and puts have been sold for it. The main gamma for the micro here is short gamma at 117 and 118,000. As you can see, 117 and 118,000. right around here. So, this long gamma for the ticker here is the result of buying. Selling a put actually gives you positive delta, and if the price moves, the market maker will likely start selling to hedge their positive delta. The result is that the price moves even further down toward 106, 105, and here we have a short gamma for the maker at 102, which is a long gamma. Actually, the ticker is at 102, so we can almost mark this area in green. Here, you can see a similar effect. The bottom we saw during that big drop is being traded on again, and apparently, people are keeping an eye on it. So, this is very important. These are the two main gamma levels we have. The key points are 112 and 100. Look at this peak we mentioned. Our gamma is at 115, and the end of delta is here at 117. On the downside, this is where the random delta movement starts in this downward leg, heading toward 109, 109, and 200. This gamma we pointed out is where the red curve and delta intersect at 106 and 100. Again, here we have another intersection of delta and gamma at 104, and 500 is a bottom in its own right. And here at 102, there's another bottom, which are important points for the middle and end of delta. Here, at 100,000, 100,000 has also been a notable level in many of our analyses, so it's worth paying a little attention to it. Alright, let's move on to look at other expirations. If we want to take a look at the expiration dates, if we add November 2nd, you'll see that the bullish outlook is still maintained. The story changes as expiration is tomorrow. If we consider the November 2nd expiration, the trade has a bearish outlook. It wants below 109. It wants below 109. So, our downside is gaining a bit of weight. You can see here that the recent trades have also turned completely bearish, and the downside is gaining momentum. Let's move on to. For the week of November, at the end of the week, our outlook is bullish. It wants above 109.600, and if we move forward, you can see the bullish outlook has almost intensified. Now again, here, both sides have come up a bit, but the bullish side is stronger. See, yeah, here it's completely bullish again in the recent trades for the end of next week, Friday. So even if we hit this lower level, it's possible we really won't go much lower. We might not even reach this bottom again, or we might create a slightly lower bottom or a double bottom and then bounce back up. In my opinion, the medium and long-term outlook is bullish. We'll probably just have one more correction downward. Alright, let's move on, if you'll allow me. Okay, let's go to the process database for tomorrow. Overall, you can still see a bullish pattern forming. We have a lot of significant negative open interest. Looking at open interest, it's rising on both sides, so there's a chance for movement in either direction. But as we move forward, it turns bullish, meaning recent trades are bullish. And it maintains this bullishness above 112. So I'm still saying, keep your eyes on this 100, 111 and 500. It needs to reclaim this for the trend to be broken. Alright. So, our processed outlook is actually bullish. Let's also take a look at the October week in this database. Let's also look at week 9, which is interesting. This processed November week wants 104, and if we move forward, you'll see the bullish leg goes up. As we get to the end of the recent trading hours, the bullish outlook also gets stronger. You see, the bullish outlook is also getting stronger. But what if our outlook was still bearish? Based on these deltas we're seeing, it means there's not much left until the end of the delta. There's only a bit left until the end of the delta, 104, 105. From here, the delta's slope really flattens out. Up to this point, we had a slope up to 167, the 167 we saw here, so it's possible we might not have even considered this downward move for the week ahead at all. Or, at most, maybe there's one more drop ahead of us, and still, we can have a bullish outlook for the coming week. Alright. Before we move on, actually, let's also take a quick look at the detailed trades. I almost forgot. Let me warn you, today's video might end up being a bit longer, but I'll try to be quick. We can get through it. For November and the raw database, okay. Out of 5,775 Bitcoin trades, 3,000 of them were buys. Of those, 1,088 were call buys, and for puts, we have 1,974 put buys. We took our entry trades from the 3rd. Let me pull it up from the very beginning, from the start of today, to see if they've been used or not. Because from the start of today, the total by trades are 900 Bitcoin, 324 of them are call buys, and 575 are put buys. So, despite this downward leg, with this increase, it's still going on. Our put buys are still dominant. The put buyers are still dominant and are seeing below 106 as likely. The call buyers too. We've almost reached it. We've pretty much hit the call target. The call buys. Of course, in this range, it's fluctuating and holding up, but there's resistance at 10. So we can say, the expected upward move has pretty much happened, but the risk of a drop or a correction is still there. There are more puts. Let's look at the sells. Take a look. We have 2,711 sell contracts, of which 592 are call sells and 2,190 are put sells, with the floor set at 166. That's what they wanted. So you see, this still dominates, and if we move forward, meaning if we look from the start of today, should we activate these again? Look, out of 1,028 Bitcoins, 200 are call sells and 800 are put sells, which again shows the floor at 107 and 500. The floor has moved up. Keep this in mind as well. So, we've reached our ceiling at 110, which means we can come down from around here to about 107. Look, we might hit another low, which doesn't necessarily have to break the previous bottom, and then we could bounce back up. It's possible. This is the kind of interpretation we should have, and this is how we should build our scenarios. Alright, that's that. Now let's move on to processed, because since tomorrow is Saturday, we usually find good strategies. I'm setting the open interest to 1 and a size above 30 is the base, and 2 is the good deal. A size above 30, and look, here, I've checked this before. When did we use less time? See, here we have this, and this. Look at these. I'm talking about the block number. This is the strategy. This is the strategy where 750 bitcoins were collected in 2 months. First of all, the strategy is downward facing. Then, you see, this strategy starts making a profit from around 106,500. Its average profit is around 105,500, and peak profit is at 104,000. This strategy avoids anything below 99,000, as that means unlimited loss. This is a signal. Next, take a look again. Here, is this it? This is it, and this is a bearish spread for tomorrow. This bearish spread starts making a profit from 106,300. Its average profit is at 104,500, and its peak profit is at 102,000. We need to see where it stops. If we look, yeah, this is the intersection, and here too, 105 gamma, 105 node, see? Here, gamma doesn't really help us much. Other than that, we don't have any other strategies for heavy trading right now. Here, as far as I've reviewed, and yeah, that's exactly what we reviewed together. So let's move on to the 48-hour liquidation. Let's put the liquidation aside, 24-hour liquidation. Look, X. Showing that above 111,100, look. There's a little bit of liquidity there that the price could sweep up with a wick, and then in the short term, down to 105, we have a concentration of liquidity. But then when I switch to the 48-hour chart, meaning a longer-term view, I think the situation reverses. In the 48-hour time frame, the focus of liquidity shifts upward, up to 114. Liquidity below is more reasonable, peaking at 105. Liquidity is strong above, from 112 to 114. On the 3-day chart, see what's going on. Again, our liquidity is extremely high on the upside. Right now, as they say, it's time to hit the liquidity up top. There's barely any liquidity left below. Ultimately, we have liquidity up to 105 that can actually absorb the price. So, in my opinion, based on everything we've discussed, we can have such an expectation overall. Now we've come here, let's say up to around 111. 111 is the maximum profit for our sellers. I'd say this bottom could act as support, around 107 or so, and then breaking through 111,500. Let me change its color too, breaking through 111,500. Something like this. It could be a double bottom, or it might come down here a bit and then go up, or something like that. I'll leave it like this. On this support, this lower zone is our bullish area and our lower zone, around 106,500. I think we can expect something like this as a scenario, and if it happens, we can work on it more. Thank you for your attention. I hope it was helpful, and until the next analysis, take care.